How's it going, everybody? And welcome back to another episode of your favorite bass fishing podcast. I guess that's just what we'll say going forward. It just makes a little bit more sense that way. Joined by a guy down here in Georgia. Eric, you might be the first guy from Georgia since since maybe Mr. Buka himself. I don't, off the top of my head, I can't think of anybody else out of the state of Georgia since Mike. So I'm excited to have Eric Goodson on Atypical Outdoors on Instagram. I couldn't remember if it was Outdoors Men or just Outdoors. So if you guys don't follow Eric, you are like primarily a kayak angler, right?
Yeah, 90% kayak fishing, man. Every now and then I get to have some fun and hop on the jet boat, but for the most part, man, it's kayak fishing.
Heck yeah, man. Heck yeah, dude. And we'll obviously dive into all that stuff. And like I said, the show is we were going to talk a lot about swim baits because I know you are a big bait guy yourself, but I also guarantee you have some stories of cracking them on a jig or top water, a frog, whatever else it may be on some of those rivers back there. So we're going to get into all that good stuff tonight as usual too. Dude, before we get started, I know you listen to the show, so we got some icebreakers for it here. And I will say I switched it up after episode 200. Everybody knows the old standard one. What are we gonna eat? What are we gonna stop for? What are we gonna get the morning when we go fish? And I'll ask you that one too. But dude, this one right here, it's my new go-to, I think. You're in the Bass, whether it's the Bassmaster Classic, you're an MLB pitcher, or you're going to fight in a UFC fight, whatever else it may be. What is Eric's walk-up song? What's the song that you're gonna listen to? Just listen to it real quick, get you hyped before you get out on the water, before you get up and do some crazy event or whatever else it may be. What's your walk-up song if you had to pick one?
Jeez, man, you put me on the spot with that one, man.
Yeah, dude, I know. That's
um,
like nobody's heard. I haven't posted any episodes with this question yet, so nobody knows it's coming yet. So the next four I have coming, or the next four podcasts I'm recording, nobody knows this question's coming. So I'm excited to hear authentic answers, just like right off the rip. What are they gonna say?
Jeez, man. Coming from down in this area, man, I'm probably gonna say "Little Baby." It's
Okay,
gonna be some
okay,
rap.
yeah,
I'm trying to think.
dude.
I mean, because I'm definitely a rap guy. Every now and then I throw on some country, man. Gosh, man, you put me on the spot for as a particular song.
I was I was
Um,
I was thinking of mine today, dude. Mine might be DMX No Sunshine. Dude, just like the intro to that song, that's a good one. That gets me hyped. UFC fighter. I don't think it's John Jones. Who is it? Somebody has that as their walkout song, and every time I hear it, I'm like, "Oh man, that gets me in some kind of mood." It's just a good song.
So man, yeah, I'm gonna take you back, man. If you really want to get pumped, and with me being a Georgia boy, I'm gonna go Pastor Troy. He's an old school rapper. He has a
Okay.
song called Back to the Versa, and it's all about like getting ready for war. It's super up tempo, man. Like with a song like that, man, I feel like I can run through a big wall, man.
Okay. Okay. Dude, I will say another one. Being from Georgia, dude, I might get some flack from this. Ludacris's Georgia. Dude, every time I hear that song, dude, I hear that song and I automatically think the Augusta Golf PGA Tour. Like I hear that song and I just am like, I'm not from Georgia. I never claimed to be, but when I hear that song, oh, I'm from Georgia. I love that song. That's top of my list. That's a really good song in my opinion.
Absolutely, man. Ludacris is the man.
Yeah, I know. That's why some people might be like, "Oh, I didn't know that Adrian listens to anything outside of MF Doom and whoever Wu-Tang Clan." But no, I'm culturally expanded in the music genre, guys. You guys probably don't know that, but I listen to a little bit of everything. So there's that for you guys. And then we'll ask you the old classic icebreaker question as well as you and I were getting ready to go do a float tomorrow morning. Where are we stopping? What's your go-to stop, whether it's like a Georgia chain or like a little mom and pop shop, and what are we getting while we're there?
Yeah, definitely, man. We're gonna swing by a racetrack because first thing in the morning, man, it's like 4 in the morning, nothing's open.
Yeah.
So we're gonna swing by a racetrack, which is a pretty good size gas station. And I gotta go with an energy drink, man, either a Celsius or a Red Bull.
Mm.
And then I'm probably going with a Slim Jim, man, and maybe a Quest Bar. So that's my go-to, man, for the river floats and long trips.
Okay, I gotta ask you, are you a coffee guy or are you primarily like energy drink Monster Celsius guy?
Dude, man, I hate to say it, man, but like both.
Okay,
I
okay.
have coffee, man. Or later, man, like I have an energy drink, so probably not the best for me, but I'm kind of a caffeine junkie, man.
Yeah, yeah. What's your like? How do you like your coffee? Like you like it black? You put a bunch of creamer in it? Like what's the go-to coffee order?
Man, like black, but then I put sugar, and that's about it, man.
Okay, okay, I get down with
I
that.
kind of like me,
Yeah,
man.
yeah, dude, straight black silk Folgers, black silk coffee. Have it every morning. Have my full Yeti cup of it every morning while I'm at work. Man, there's no better way to start the day than just a nice stout cup of coffee, in my opinion. A little bit of sugar might go a long ways. I've never tried it. Always just drank it straight. I might have to try that, but man, that and then like yeah, like you said, like hour and a half later, 2 hours later, like when you're getting ready to get on the water, you crack open a nice cold, whether it's like a Red Bull or a Bang or Celsius or whatever else it may be, just to get you tingling a little bit, just to get you in the zone. I can get down with that too.
For sure, man.
Heck yeah, man. So getting into it a little bit more in depth here, have you always been in Georgia? Were you born and grew up in Georgia, or kind of like what's the story behind you in fishing in Georgia, or how you got to Georgia, or just how it all unfolded for you?
Yeah, man, I'm like a country boy, man. I grew up in the sticks in Georgia, man, super small town. I mean, my graduating class was like 46 people, man. So I
Okay.
legitimately came from the country, bro.
Yeah.
So in my hometown, pretty much all you could do is fish, have a good time, man. There was no movies, there was no Walmart. So, I mean, just a bunch of outdoors. And that's pretty much it, bro. That is it, man. And I started fishing with my granddad a little bit, man, just bluegills, just kind of like everybody else, man. Um, my father was a great dude, man, but he did not fish. He was not like an outdoorsman or anything, man. I used to watch all these fishing shows on TV, man. And like, man, I would love to fish and hunt, and I would get pissed off, man, when hunting shows would come on and you can only see like one fishing show, man. And as I grew up, man, I continued to fish. I went to college and then forgot about fishing, and then after college, I started back fishing pretty hard again.
Heck yeah, man. So like that's cool to get into it. I feel like it's been a long time, but most guys' stories start off with grandpa or dad bluegill fishing. They get pretty big into it and then they fall out of it, around the college years later in high school. And then, it's always they come back to it later in their life, early mid 20s, they leave high school and they just find something to do. They're like, "Oh man, I haven't fished in a while." And then it seems like it always goes is they just get swallowed and consumed by it. And then there for a while, everybody I talked to was all swim bait fishing. So the stories all ended up in the same thing. They found these gigantic baits, and that's kind of what they've been doing for the X amount of years. So, what was it for you? Like, when you got back into it, post college, was it bass fishing? Was it just kind of bluegill fishing, or what was it for you after those college years?
Man, it was bass fishing, man, and I still found my way back to the old school like Zepco 33, man.
Yeah.
Like so funny, man. I was a Zepco 33 guy, throwing like a Texas rig worm. And then I went into the spinning setup and then to the bait caster, man. And ever since then, man, it's just been bait casters. I mean, most people will laugh, but I kind of hate to throw a spinning reel, man.
Mhm.
Like I'm a bait casting guy. I like throwing it in.
Yeah, yeah. Was it was it river fishing back then, or was it like farm ponds, lakes that you guys had, like, parks, or kind of like what was it around you at the time once you got back into it?
So yeah, typically in the area I was in, man, it was mostly pond fishing, man, farm ponds and rivers. But at that point in time, bro, I did not mess with the rivers, knew nothing about it,
Yeah.
wasn't kayak fishing, man. I was just a straight up bank beater, man.
Mhm.
And slowly and surely I got more into fishing, got more comfortable, man. But definitely pond fishing in the beginning, man.
Okay, yeah, and I feel like that's kind of how a lot of guys start, especially states that aren't necessarily known for their waterways. Like there's some states that have huge lakes that everybody goes out onto, or smaller bodies of water, like Minnesota, for instance, that has 10,000 lakes, and there's just so many fishing opportunities. Whereas some of those southern states, yeah, you guys have like I don't know if you could hear that guy driving by, but excuse that. Like down there in some of those southern states, you guys have reservoirs and then you guys have the
Right.
rivers that the reservoirs dump into. Like those are the two things you guys have in farm ponds. Like it doesn't seem like up here in Michigan, much like Minnesota, we have a gajillion lakes you can just drive back to, dump a paddleboard in or kayak or canoe or even just fish from shore and fish around the whole thing. And to my knowledge down there, it's kind of yeah, you guys have that, but like I said, it's a lot of big reservoirs and like winding rivers that dump into these reservoirs or come out of these reservoirs. It,
Right. So
so
yeah, we do have lakes, but we have a ton of rivers, man.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And that's the crazy thing. Like, you guys have stuff in your river systems that I didn't even know that you guys had. Like I was watching your video from a couple weeks ago and you talked about like catching pickerel. I did not know you guys had pickerel down there. That was like kind of a shock to me. I knew that they were south, but I didn't realize that they were that far south. That was pretty cool to hear.
Yeah, man. And we got your favorite fish too, man. The bowfin.
I know I saw that video
Tons of
too. I was
bowfin.
that was the one I was watching. I saw bowfin in the title and I'm like, "Oh, I got to watch this before we record. I got to see what this is all about down there."
You made me a little jealous, bro. Truthfully, man, I haven't caught a bowfin on a swim bait yet. Like I catch them on like curly tail worms
Yep.
and for the most part, man. Every now and then like spinner baits,
Dude,
but not yet on the swim bait.
yeah. Man, I caught a couple the other day on this guy right here, this BC walking bait. Oh my gosh, dude. I don't know if you can
Ah,
see it. They almost ripped this hook hanger completely out. The split ring is like bent to crap. They unscrewed the hook hanger a quarter of the way. Like I caught two on this thing. The first one I got in the net and it shook out. Second one, it was like in the mouth and it like death rolled and it broke the hook off in its mouth. I had to get my dikes, my side cutters and cut the hook out. Like, dude, I'm glad. I always appreciate when I have somebody on the podcast who can appreciate and give some insight on the bowfin and how much they enjoy that fish too, because it's such a cool fish, man. They're so badass.
they're monsters, bro. Like they are ridiculous. They tear up everything. So
Yeah.
you got to appreciate how gnarly they are.
Yeah, exactly. So when you get back into it and you're kind of fishing the Zebco and stuff, and then later spinning reel, casting rod, and stuff like that, was that kind of self-taught? Were you watching like YouTube videos, or maybe at that time was like the Elite series maybe a little more televised, or the Outdoor Channel had more like bass fishing stuff on it, or kind of how were you progressing through these stages to kind of not necessarily where we're at today, but in those early stages like the spinning rod and baitcaster? How did you find yourself there?
Yeah, man, definitely YouTube, man. Fluke Master, man. I learned a lot from that dude in the beginning, man. Just watching his videos, learning how to tie knots, man. And just kind of going out there and kind of failing, bro. Like a lot of failing because I was kind of by myself in the beginning, didn't really have anybody to fish with. So, a lot of time on the water trying to learn, catching L's. But a lot of YouTube. That's how I learned in the beginning for the most part.
Right. Yeah. It seems like that's what it is for a lot of guys, especially when you get a little bit older in life and maybe your dad or grandpa aren't around, they don't want to fish or whatever else it may be, and you don't maybe have those connections in life to like I know you fish with a decent group of guys or a decently sized group of guys now, so you have buddies to bounce ideas and stuff around. But at the time, I'm sure, like you said, it was a lot of just fishing alone, maybe seeing one or two other guys on the lake. Like it's kind of just a find out how to learn this stuff yourself, whether it's YouTube or articles or now even Instagram and Facebook. But yeah, that's like for a lot of people, I think once they fall out of it and get back into it in their little bit 20s, we'll just say that's the go-to is YouTube. Especially, 10, 12 years ago, there was so much stuff on YouTube. And now it seems like it's kind of taken, there's a lot of guys who have stepped away from that like beginner style video and now it's just like straight vlog fishing, which is fine. But at one point in time, that's like all the fishing videos were is like top five spring baits, top five fall baits, how to cast a bait caster, like all that classic stuff. And now it seems like that stuff maybe not necessarily has been thrown to the wayside, but that's like not the content people are going on there to watch, I think is probably a better way to put it.
I agree, man. Everything is super quick,
Yeah.
blog style now, compared to back in the day.
hmm
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Fluke Master, he in your area of Georgia or is he in like the northern part of Georgia? Or like could you relate to what he was saying because they were kind of in the same area, or was it just cool to see somebody else in Georgia like put on such a big at the time like a big and well sought after YouTube page? Picture this, the sun rising over the mountains, your line gets tight, and the fight of a lifetime begins. Welcome to Lake Bacharach Lodge, Mexico's premier largemouth bass fishing lodge. Nestled in the heart of the Sierra Madre Mountains, Lake Bacharach Lodge offers world-class fishing, luxury accommodations, first-class hospitality, and expert guides who know where the grandes live. Whether you're chasing giants or kicking back after a day on the water with a frosty, cold, bottomless margarita, we've got you covered. Home to some of the biggest bass in the world, Lake Bacharach is truly an angler's paradise. Don't miss your shot at the bass of a lifetime. Book your trip now at www.lakebacharachlodge.com or call 806-316-8382 today. Lake Bacharach Lodge, truly the best in bass. If you're listening to this podcast, it's safe to assume you're tossing big baits for trophy bass. You already know that treble hook changes are part of the game, but they don't always have to be a pain in the butt to do. Toit split ring pliers are hands down the easiest way to swap out treble hooks, especially on those beefy swim baits we all love. No more slipping, no more fighting your gear, just smooth, secure hook changes every time. Available in 3 fixed sizes in a full kit with interchangeable jaws that safely open up any size split ring. Toyota doesn't stop there. They offer a full lineup of precision tools designed with anglers in mind, including long and short nose pliers, scissors that cut cleanly on limp braid, and wire forming tools perfect for rigging those soft baits. So up your game with Toy, because when you're chasing giants, every detail matters. Check them out at toyfishing.com and be sure to use code SNT15 for 15% off your order. Again, that's toyfishing.com, TOIT fishing.com. And again, SNT15 for 15% off your order.
Yeah, so back in the day, he was probably about 3.5, 4 hours away from me, man. But it was just like the knowledge base, man. He was like a teacher for fishing for me. I mean, just if I had a question after I went fishing, I can go to YouTube,
Yeah.
click it in, and Fluke Master popped up, man. So now he's actually only about an hour and a half away from me.
Okay.
Yeah,
Have you gotten to meet him since watching his videos?
yeah, definitely,
That's cool.
man.
That's super cool. So when you're learning all this stuff in your area that you were at the time, did you have access to go out and buy your baitcaster setup, or was that something that you had to order? I'm assuming the way you talked about like your high school years and stuff, you grew up in a really small area like I did, where up here it's all trout fishing and stuff. So even to buy a baitcaster is like pulling teeth. It's just easier to order it off a tackle warehouse or wherever at the time. Were you lucky enough to have like a bass tackle shop around you or not really?
Really, man, this that was a small bait and tackle shops, man. For the most part, it was tackle warehouse, man.
Mm,
Or especially if you wanted something different and unique. I mean, you can go to the bait shop and get like Zoom trick worms,
yeah.
like everybody's go-to. But it was tackle warehouse.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And like going back to even the YouTube, like the early days of YouTube bass fishing, like Tackle Warehouse was the pinnacle. Like that's when you could pay the $8 for 2 day shipping, and it would ship if you bought it like earlier in the morning, it would ship that day. Not to throw any flack at Tackle Warehouse, they're a huge company now, but now it's a lot less of that like personable feeling, and it almost feels like you're ordering off of like Bass Pro or Cabela's now, just because I'm sure they have such an influx of orders. It takes a couple days. I don't even know. Couldn't even tell you the last time I ordered, so I don't know if they offer the 2 day shipping really anymore. But yeah, back in the day, you could buy a lot of stuff and it'd get to you in 3 days across the country, and that's like I said, I don't know if it's like that anymore, but that was like the peak of the YouTube days. That's like how the bass fishing scene was. I think it was just small enough around that time that these places could get away with doing stuff like that, and now it's just gotten so big that it's probably near impossible to offer stuff like that.
Right. And I'm gonna date myself, bro. I remember getting the t-shirts, man. It
Oh
was
yeah,
it
yep,
was so important. You got a t-shirt that said like tackle warehouse and you
yep,
could pick your gift, man, back in
yeah.
the
Do they not do that anymore?
The last couple times I brought, I don't think so, man, but it's been
Wow.
a minute since I brought
Yeah.
up there.
Yeah, because you could usually either pick between that, the rod sock, or the reel cover. And I had a whole bunch of shirts. I know people that had 15, 20, 30 of those shirts. Like if they don't do that anymore, that is crazy because you could that was like a high selling point. I know people who would buy like extra couple packs of Senkos or Flukes just to qualify for the free gift every time. Like that's just it was such an iconic thing for them to do.
Yeah.
Man, that's crazy. So while you were like ordering all this stuff and like slowly getting into it and everything, did you have any aspirations of fishing the river or getting a boat or a kayak, like something to get off the bank and kind of experience like Gene Fluke Master, he fishes out of that kayak. Like were you seeing this stuff and you're like, okay, now that I'm a little bit more well versed in like how to catch these fish and everything, I think the next big step is like getting off the bank and targeting these fish. Like when did that kind of come into play for you?
Yeah, it wasn't too much later, man. Cause when you're in the bank, it's always that thing like, bro, like the fish are busting up right over
Yeah,
there,
yeah,
and I can't reach. Like
yeah,
you always want to get to that spot you can't reach, and in the back of your head, you know it's amazing.
yeah.
So the next step was the Pelican Bass Raider, man.
Mm,
That was like the gateway to everything at that point. Like that's when I started catching much bigger fish.
mm,
Um, that boat was a blast, bro. I caught so many fish out of the Pelican Bass River. I used to call it my bathtub because
Yeah, yeah.
it's shaped like. I mean, I was taking it out on major lakes, ponds, reservoirs. Like I was dragging that thing all over the place, man. And that was kind of the first opportunity to target fish in a different way for me.
Hmm. Yeah, did you have a truck at the time or like were you like ratchet strapping that onto your like Toyota Corolla roof or like how were you getting that thing around? Because if you guys aren't familiar, they are not necessarily huge, but they're just like oddly shaped. You can't really do too much with it. You can throw it on the back of the truck and that's pretty much about it. So like how are you getting that thing around back and forth?
Yeah, man. Thankfully, I had a truck, man. I would just throw it in the back of the truck,
Yeah.
man, and rip and go, man. Throw the trolling motor back there, throw the battery, and just hop. And like I said, I took that thing freaking everywhere, man. It was a fish catching machine.
Yeah, that's super slick. Did you ever venture out on the rivers on that thing or just kind of the stagnant, pond lake water with that with the trolling motor?
Dude, I wish I did, man. That would have been some epic content, like taking it out on the river and even trying to float down like holes in many rapids.
Hmm.
That would have been some killer content, man. But nah, man. Only like for the most part, ponds and reservoirs with the Pelican Bass Raider.
Okay, yeah, that makes a lot of sense with what it is. If you were gonna say you went down a river, I was gonna ask for the video because that'd be a hoot and a half. That'd be some crazy stuff to see. When once you got off the bank and you were fishing off the Raider, did stuff start to click to you a lot more because you were getting to experience like these fish out deep busting on shad or these fish suspended on grass lines or transition lines or anything like that? Like you can learn so much from the bank and there's a gajillion videos on how to bank fish, but I feel like once you get off the bank, that's like you explore a new place. That's like finding a new planet. Like you don't know where to start. You're kind of new to everything. There's so much going on. You don't know what's underneath the water and like what these fish are relating to. So I got to imagine that opened like a whole new can of worms for you in the sense of like learning, trying to relearn everything.
Yeah, man, to be truthfully, I was lost at first, man. It was totally awkward, man. I felt like I lost my bearings on how
Hmm.
to fish. When you go from fishing from the bank and casting is totally different. The
Yeah.
way you set up is different, how you approach the fish, trying to control a boat and maneuver it while casting.
Hmm.
So I was totally lost at first, man. I slowly began to figure out how to fish from a boat and like learn boat positioning. It was so many things at first, man, probably for the first month. I kind of struggled on getting a idea on how to actually fish from a boat.
Yeah. At that point in time, like you had never had any acquaintances that had like a bass boat or a raider or anything like that. Like that was your first time being in we'll just say a vessel at that point.
Man, I probably have been on like two or three boats, and like that's it.
Yeah.
Like three trips in my whole life. I didn't grow up from a family that really like fished from a boat,
Hmm.
and it was all brand new, bro. Like
Hmm.
I was lost at first.
Yeah, yeah. That's like I could probably count on two hands how many times I've been out on a bass boat. Like my buddies have bass boats and everything, but I just never really go on them out or out on them too much. And so like that even like just like fishing off a boat is still kind of not necessarily foreign, but it's different. Like you get three guys up on the deck and you're all casting and hucking baits and stuff, and you gotta like I'm kind of looking around like, man, I hope this guy doesn't hook me with his back cast. Like this is really scary. Like that's like a whole you can be the best bank fisherman ever and then put yourself out on a boat, 40 yards off the shore and it's completely foreign. You're learning a whole different dance move. Like it's kind of crazy how I mean, yes, some stuff transitions over to it, but in other like terms, it's just a completely like a 180 experience for somebody who's never really been on that style of fishing essentially.
Absolutely, totally different, man. Especially if you're fishing from the back of the boat and you got
Yeah.
guys in front of you.
Yep.
Cast, you maneuver your bait around their baits, and you're watching where they cast, so you can try to find a spot that didn't cast
Yeah.
at. So, like, totally different worlds, man.
Yeah. So how long did you fish out of the Raider for? And like what's like I guess give us one like crazy memorable story. Like when you talked about Bass Raider, like what was the first thing that came to your mind, whether it was like a PB at the time or like getting caught in a rainstorm or like what's a crazy story you have from the Bass Raider days?
Man, I had the Pelican Bass Radar for about I think 2.5 years. It was an epic time, man. The craziest story, man, had to be the day that I caught my PB. It's about a 15-acre pond.
Hmm.
Um, and I fished another pond prior to going to that pond, and it was horrible. Didn't catch any fish. And it's so crazy. You go 5 miles down the road,
Hmm.
and this pond is on fire.
Yeah, yeah.
It almost the moon phase set up for this one particular pond. Like the back was insane, man. So I get out there, first cast out of a chatterbait. As I'm pulling it out of the water, a like 4 pounder explodes on it right at the bank. I didn't hook the fish, but it was one of those crazy moments. So I go to the dam of the pond, cast out, and I catch a 7 pounder on
Whoa.
the chatterbait. Like just swallows it. And then I go probably about 30 minutes later from the same spot on the dam, kind of like Mike Gilbert always says, like be super quiet,
Yeah.
get low.
Hmm.
So I put my Pelican bass radar parallel to the dam and I actually put it on the dam.
Hmm.
As I'm reeling in my chatterbait, I hook a giant, bro, and it actually spins the Pelican bass radar all the way around. The fish had to be like 8+ pounds, and I lose it at the bank. So just in that little time, I caught a seven,
Yeah.
I lose an eight. So I'm venturing out to this other spot, man, and I make a cast and I hook into an absolute giant. Fish was massive, bro. Literally jumps right beside my boat, and it's my PB. It's 9.46 pounds on the chatterbait, man, and just an insane day. And it all took place, bro, in like 2 hours. It
That is
was probably one of the
crazy.
most epic bites I had.
Dang, so you almost had a seven, we'll say an eight and a nine, upper nines, all on the same day, all in the course of like 2 hours. Like that is crazy. That just goes to show that something was lined up with that specific pond where, like you said, 5 miles down the road, you didn't have crap. And then you turn around, come back to this pond, catch four pretty good fish. You said you had that four come up and swipe at it and stuff like just have four really, really good fish, we'll say interactions all in the course of 2.5 hours. I mean, yeah, that happens probably to some guys, but I've never had an experience that crazy, like where everything lines up like that. That's pretty sick. And that's like, was that the first and second, or were those the two biggest fish you'd caught out of the Raider? Was your seven and then your nine?
I caught an 8 out of the Raider before, but the nine's
Yeah.
biggest fish period on the scale, largely.
Man, that's sweet. I will ask you, did you cut off that chatterbait and do you have that chatterbait like up on your wall somewhere, or did you keep fishing it and lose it?
No, bro, I lost that chatterbait, man.
What were you, was it like oh dude, okay, so this is the first time I've been put on the spot with conventional gear because I'm not a huge conventional guy, but was it like the Z-Man chatterbait or like the Thunder Cricket or like what chatterbait was it? What was your trailer?
So it was a Vantage Baits. It's like a small builder as far as makes chatterbaits.
Mm,
And it was actually like a bluegill colorway, man, with a
mm,
gold blade and the bottom of it was orange, the top was green. So it looked like a golden shiner.
yeah.
This particular pond had golden shiners. So, it matched the forage. It just kind of made sense for that body of water. Um, and then I actually have, let's see, it was the Hog Farmers
Mm.
green trailer.
Okay, there we go.
Yeah. So it kind of
Hmm.
forming everything like that.
Yeah. What kind of, I guess Georgia, I think like you guys have some dirtier water. What's like what was the water visibility in this pond or in these ponds? Because I've watched some of your videos like with the rivers, and your rivers is kind of what I expect like all the waterways to look like down there, but I know you guys probably have some like decently clear waters. Like what did the pond set up like that day?
But this one was more of a tannic pond, which, if you look at it, it looks dirty,
Yeah.
but you actually can see your bait in the water. So it's
Mhm.
more like a brownish color,
Yeah.
but it's also clear at the same time. Sounds funny, but brown, but clear. Looks like teeth.
Mm-hmm. Hmm. Okay. So yeah, like perfect chatterbait, just burning that thing in, and they just come up and eat it. I'm sure, like that 4 pounder did. I guarantee, whether you saw it or not, that's probably what all those fish did was come up and swipe at it and j got hooked or missed the hook or whatever else it may be.
Absolutely, man.
Did you keep fishing after you caught your nine? Did you keep fishing, or were you just like awestruck and like had to call it a day after that?
That is one of the worst decisions I've ever made in my life. I
Mm.
stopped fishing after that 9.46 4 6 pounder,
Hmm.
and I would never do that again. I learned that very quickly. Like these days, like that don't happen too often.
Yeah.
So if you can, you fish all night if you can,
Hmm.
because when they're on like that, it doesn't happen every day. I stopped fishing and I regret it almost every day,
Yeah.
man.
Yeah, there's like I understand that there's some days where I'll catch a big fish, whether it's like a six, it's 6.5 is the biggest I've ever caught, but catching like a six, 6.25, like a big fish, big 5.5, 5.75, like sometimes, dude, I'll catch that fish and I'm just like in such awe. I'm like, okay, yeah, like that did it for me. I'm good for the next couple days. Like I'll go out again. But also to your point, there's been days where I've caught 6 pounders and I stick out there for another 4 or 5 hours and I don't catch another fish. And I'm like, I don't know. Maybe I should have just called it a day. Like, what am I doing out here? So there's both sides of it. And like you said, you can be kicking yourself for it for the last couple of years. And who knows, that may have been the last 20 minutes of the moon cycle or whatever else it may have been, the feeding window that those fish were going for. And you could have, we'll say quotations, wasted your time out there the rest of the day, but you still would have been go been out there. So it's tough to say in those situations where whether like if you'd had to go to work, then you'd have been like, oh yeah, the fish were eating, but you stay out there, don't catch anything for 5 hours, like, oh, I should have gone to work. Like, why the heck did I stay out here? So that's kind of the lesser of two evils. What are you gonna do in that situation? Whichever one you do is probably the wrong answer in the future mind.
Speaking about work, man, I had a crazy situation. Um, I was bed fishing, bro,
Mhm.
and I found like the biggest fish that I've ever found in my life. It was probably like 11, 12 pounds on bed, but I had to go to work.
Hmm.
I had to go to work. I had to leave that fish, man, at 11 and 12 pounds. It was over like 26 inches. And that was painful, bro. That was painful.
Did you go back like the next day or after your shift and was it already pushed off?
I went back the next day, it was gone.
Dude. Yeah, like those big fish like that probably push up for 5, 6 hours, do their business, and then just shoot right back. Like, especially those big ones like that. Like that fish went up there, did its business, and it knew, like, I've been around the block a couple times. I'm not staying up here and getting ripped off this bed because I stay up here for 2 days or 3 days, whatever else it may be. It always seems like those big ones, if you don't stay on, like, I see posts on Facebook all the time of guys like guides where they're like, oh yeah, I have this fish on a bed. If somebody's not going to come book a trip with me, then I'm just gonna give this spot to a buddy so he can come on. Like they literally park on it, and like if nobody's gonna book a spot with them for the next 2 days, they'll sell it to somebody else, and they'll just slide off, and the next person will slide in, and just they're doing a night shift on these fish, watching these fish, make sure they don't slide off before they can catch them. Like that is a crazy thing. That's like the big thing in Texas, like on JB or OHIV because you can see those fish when they're bedding up in those trees and stuff. And that is that is some crazy I don't know, that's a crazy thing to do. I mean, just let that fish do its thing. But if you roll up on a fish that's that big and you have the opportunity, like you can say that you wouldn't cast at a bedding fish like that. Like I could say that all day until I roll up and I'm fishing with you and I look down and I'm like, holy crap, Eric, there's a 12 pounder down there. Like okay, two casts and I won't cast at it again. Like everybody can take the moral high ground, but when that fish is in front of you, it's like, oh man, like well, two casts probably won't hurt, and two casts turns into 2 hours, and it's just like it slowly builds on itself till you catch that fish, and you're like, okay, well, I spent way too much time here right now. It's it's always how it works, it feels like. So I guess after your crazy day on the water, after you caught that 946, was the chatterbait your new favorite bait? I guess I'll just ask that too.
Absolutely, man. Probably for like a year or so, man. Absolutely. The chatterbait truthfully was my gateway drug to swim baits.
Okay.
Like that's what got me to swim baits because I was throwing like 4.5 to 5 inch trailers on the chatterbait.
Mm,
I mean, so my rig was like almost 5 to 6 inches, man, for the
yeah.
chatterbait.
Yeah, and then you got that big skirt profile too, and so it just kind of flowed perfectly. Hold on, since you're a chatterbait guy, I don't know if I've ever showed this on the podcast. Look at this thing. I got this thing sent to me from Germany. If you guys are watching.
Ooh, Louise, man.
It is it is a articulating chatterbait. I'm assuming it's for muskie, and I've
What's
never fished it, but it is massive. If you guys aren't watching, it's like A whole squirrel. I would go to say that this is probably a whole squirrel worth of fur and hair that goes into this chatterbait. I want to fish this thing in the spring next year, and now that uh now that I'm not only a swim bait guy, maybe I will do that because probably catch a big old pike or a big old bowfin on it. I don't know. Maybe a bass would eat that thing, but I just had to bring that up since we were talking about it. So once what trailers were you using? Were you using like the Gambler Easy, what is it, like the Easy Minnow, those big ones that they use like on Okeechobee and stuff, or like what was the go-to bigger profile trailer that you were using?
Like the Kitech, and
Mm,
I also have used like the Gambler Big Easy and the Little Easy as well too.
yeah. So yeah, the Kitex. I did not know. I guess I was illiterate with how many sizes those came in. Those come in like a whole bunch of sizes, and I also had no idea. Have you ever seen the 100 packs of them, like the big clamshell packaging?
No, not 100 pack. Nah,
Dude,
uh-uh.
I was in the Tackle Shack Austin a couple weeks ago, and I'm like walking around and I look and I'm like, oh my gosh, I've never seen a huge pack of 3.8 inch Kitex in a 100 pack like that. I'm like, that is freaking awesome. Like that's probably only something like smallmouth guys would buy or guys who love a swim jig or a chatterbait. But I'm like, that's pretty cool. I've never seen a bulk package of Kitex like that.
Nuts.
So once you got in the Kitex and were catching them with the little bit bigger stuff. Did you fall down the YouTube rabbit hole? Like Gene has some swim bait stuff, but did you just type in big swim bait, big bass swim baits or anything like that on YouTube? And was that when you essentially got exposed to what everything that was going on at the time?
Yeah, absolutely, man. I went down the rabbit hole from Facebook to YouTube, man, from technical bassing to Butch Brown, all his videos, and the working class zeros.
Mhm.
Yeah, man, I got bit really quick with the swim bait addiction.
What if you had to again aging yourself, throwing a year on it? How long ago or like what year do you think that was around?
I started swimming fishing probably around like 2017.
Okay. Okay, so yeah, that's like really close to around the time I was getting into it as well. So that's kind of funny. At that time, were you river fishing or were you still only lake fishing out of the Raider?
So yeah, that's like lake and pond fishing for the most
Okay.
part. Yeah.
Okay. What was the first bait you got? Was it a bull shed being in Georgia or like what was the first big swim bait that you coughed up the money to buy?
Dude, it was not my greatest purchase, man. I got like a 68 HUD Deluxe and
Mhm.
I got the S Waver.
Okay. Okay.
Those are
Which
the first one, baby.
yeah, two classics that a lot of guys, Tactical Bassin talks about them all the time. So you can assume that they're decent enough baits, but I guarantee you got that. I'll just go out on an assumption here. You got that HUD, you fished it for like 3 days and didn't catch a fish on it, and you're like, what the heck am I doing with this thing? Is that pretty close, or did you have success with it?
Dude, I got the HUD and I freaking hated it. No luck.
Mm.
I got the S Waver, and to this day, I'm not a fan of the S Waver. I know everybody loves it,
Mm.
but I'm not an S Waver guy. It
Okay.
all, man.
Okay. Do you like the Shine Glide? I feel like guys either like the Shine Glide or they like the S Waver. That's like the two beginner baits that people feud over.
The Shy Glide is dope, bro, but for me, the one that got me really into it was the Gantrell.
Yeah,
The
okay. Yeah, that's
Gantrell
yep.
and the Bull Shad. Those two actually got me confidence in fishing the swim bait.
Okay. Did you start off with the Gantrell Junior or did you start off with the normal Gantrell size?
Normal.
Okay. Dude, I don't know what it was. I got the normal as well when I got into it, and I caught so many fish on it. And for some reason, maybe I lost the bait, I can't remember, but I put in an order on Tackle Warehouse and I'm like, I'm gonna get the junior Gantrell. I've said it before, that was the worst mistake ever, dude. The Gantrell already catches a lot of fish. That Gantrell Junior, dude, it was stupid how many fish I was catching. So many small fish. Like I would never caught big fish on it because I think the small fish were eating it. So I was after that, like 2 days of fishing that thing, I'm like, I'm never buying one of these again. It's the regular size Gantrel from here on out.
Yeah, dude, it flat out catches them, man. Like mine's beat the hell, man. Like
Yep.
the fins on the side are all broken.
Yeah.
Um, it's destroyed, man. But that's a fishy bait, man. Like,
Mhm.
and almost like once you get into swim bait fishing, you forget about it
Oh,
and just
yep.
throw it in the closet. But man, like it's the real deal. The Gantrel catches them.
Yeah, the Gantrel is a super sick bait. They swim, like you said, broke. I had broken fins on mine. I left mine in a tackle box in my truck over the course of like a week or two in like the point of Michigan summer. So mine had like mine bubble warped and it still swam fine. I still caught fish on it. Like that thing was so beat to crap and it didn't matter. It always caught me fish. And yeah, like you said, I've said it before on the show. You get so deep into the swim baits. I mean, I have a gajillion baits and I don't own a Gantrel for whatever reason after I know and I've talked about it on the show and I just have so many pictures and videos of me catching fish on that thing and I don't have it for whatever reason. It doesn't make any sense. Something clicks and you just grow out of the Gantrel and you never look back, unfortunately. You want to, but you never tell yourself you're gonna buy another one for whatever reason. What did you ever try the I think it's the Giga Gantrel, the Gigantrel or whatever the heck it's called, the super big one?
Nah, I didn't get that one, man. I always seen it, but I never pulled the trigger on it.
Yeah, I never got one either because I think it's like 8 inches, and I'm like, like I was like, I should buy one now. Like I should get that one over the normal size one, but I never got one either. I always told myself I was going to, and I never did. Um, so after the S waiver and the HUD, did you catch fish on either of them, or did you kind of bend at the knee and decide to go the route of the Gantrel because it was a different style bait, a little bit more bluegill friendly, probably for the areas you were fishing, or kind of how did you go from those two baits to kind of more upswing to where we are now?
So I caught fish on the HUD. It was like a bedfish,
Mm.
and the S-Waver, I lost it, man. Kind of early on this, I lost it, man. I think it went for a sail. It flew. So I lost it, man. And then I went to the bull shads and stuff
Okay.
like that. That was
Okay.
the next.
That's sweet. Did you see that on Tactical Bassin? I know Mike's been on Tactical Bassin a couple times as well as I think him and Gene have fished together. Maybe Gene's gone to the shop. I don't know the timeline on that, so that may have been after the fact. But did you know Mike was essentially in your backyard of Georgia, or was that just like a coincidence that you started fishing the bull shads?
I think I wanted like a shad profile,
Mm.
just because of the area. And from watching YouTube videos, and then later on, I found that actually Mike was actually in Georgia, which was pretty cool too, man.
Yeah. That is super cool. At the time, was he just making like the normal bull shad? Did he have like the gill weight or the gill glide at the time, or was it strictly just like the normal bull shad that everybody kind of knows and that was like popular at the time?
So at that point, you had the regular bull shad, and then he also had like the gill swimmer.
Yep. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like I don't know, people might not know that like just up to a couple of years ago, like that 2017, 2018 mark, like Mike had those couple baits and then he just started coming out with a bunch of stuff. He came out with the two piece or the four by excuse me, the 4x4 crank down. He came out with the bull gill, the bull wake. He came out with the dredger, the live shad, the trick shad. Like he came out with all this stuff only within the last like 4 or 5 years. So before that, yeah, like when that bluegill glide came out and the bluegill multi-piece came out, dude, everybody lost their mind. Like that bull glide caught so many fish for people. I remember when he dropped that thing. I think it was 2018 maybe, like the classic. Like you couldn't there was guys trying to find people who were going to the classic so they could buy him two or three of them because they just like everybody wanted their hands on him and Mike wasn't, being able to make enough. So that was kind of a crazy time at that point. And so it's cool that you weren't familiar with him around that time too, and it just so happened he was in Georgia. Were you close to him at all, or like did you just know that he was in Georgia?
I just knew that he was in Georgia. And funny thing about that, let me see if I have it out. Hold on a second.
Oh, you're good, man. Eric just got up to go grab. What do we got here?
So,
Yeah, yep. Is that the Stanley crappie?
yep, this is the two-piece glad, man. I've caught 8 on this one, man. Such a dirty bait, man. Like it has all the rash and
Yeah,
everything
yeah.
too, man. Yeah, big goat, man. But yeah, that was that crazy time frame when everybody wanted
Mhm.
those bluegill glad baits.
Yeah. Yeah, I remember I got one the year of the first gathering, so 2019, and it was bone white. And before I had even left Virginia, my buddy I was staying with, him and I went out and fished a river the day before I left, and I had like three or four fish look at it. I caught, I think, one or two fish, and I'm just like, wow, this is crazy. Never had much confidence in a glide bait at the time, so to see that much action with a glide bait that I just picked up, I was like, this is super cool. And then there was a bunch of like double digits that got caught on that bait at the time. Like that bait was super popular. You don't see it as much for whatever reason, I'm sure because the trick shad has kind of overshadowed it. But for gill glide, dude, that was like the standard at that point in time. Like everybody wanted to have one, everybody wanted to make a bait like that. It was like just a super popular bait. And to see that one and like I remember when those ones came out, the Stanley crappies, like that's super cool. And I mean, dude, there's guys probably listening to this that know about the bait and haven't even thought about that thing since it came out at that point in time because it's just kind of same with the Gantrel. Like it just stuff kind of hits its lifespan and then people move on to it and you never reminisce or think about it until that one thing clicks and you're like, oh my gosh, I forgot about the bull gill. Like I don't even, does he even sell those anymore? Like it's kind of funny that how that stuff happens.
Yeah, it's killer bait, man. It's good and current too.
Yeah, yeah. So that's what I was going to ask you next. Around the time you were getting the bull shads, like that 2017, 2018, 2019 timeline, uh, when was the time that you got into the river fishing or like wanted maybe that you like your interest got piqued in the river fishing and that was something that you wanted to learn how to do?
Yeah, so I had a buddy in South Georgia who would take me out on my on his John boat, and that kind of exposed me to river fishing. But down there is different. It's a lot more slower moving water, mostly largies. But up here, I met a guy named Charles, man, and he introduced me to fishing on our rivers in North Georgia, which you have current, you got shoals, you
Yeah.
got rocks and everything like that. And that's when it peaked, man. And after a couple of trips, I was like, I never want to fish a pond or a lake again, man.
Yeah.
I just want to river fish. The fish are so aggressive, man. And I mean, you have, 2 pounders like trying to eat like an 8-inch glad bait. It's nuts, man.
Hmm. And you're not only fighting the 2 pounder, you're fighting the 2 pounder in like, maybe not crazy fast ripping current, but you're also fighting the current too. So that just adds to it. And for guys who have never gotten to catch a river fish, I try to say like, just imagine living your whole life on a treadmill where if you stop, you fall off, so you have to keep walking. Like that is essentially that's what a river fish is. Like they're always moving in and out of slack water, currents, pockets behind rocks, ambushing. Like these things live in the water, so they are just little balls of muscle. You hardly, in my opinion, I feel like you never really see like super fat river fish because they're just so lean and muscular from sw swimming, living, and eating. Those are like the three, like surviving is what these fish have to do in these river systems. And so, yeah, it turns a normal 2 pound smallmouth or largemouth into, 3.5, 4 pound fish. Like it's dogging you in the current. It's just such a blast, especially on a big bait like that.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And like they have to make decisions very quickly. They just can't sit there
Yeah.
and watch it forever.
Yeah.
I mean, so you get crazy eats, and a lot of times it's multiple fish fighting for the same bait too, in those key spots.
Right. It sounds like you're fishing a pretty wicked river system, like with the shoals, the rocks, the bars and stuff like that. You were talking about crazy current. Yeah, this might be a sad story. Do you remember your first swim bait that you lost on the river and kind of what that situation or scenario was like for you?
Yeah, I gave you the first major one, man, and now it's turned into a sick edition. That's fishing for striper, bro.
Mm.
So I had a Rafa carp glad, man,
Mhm.
and I was fishing in shoals, well, right outside of a shoal in a pretty heavy current, man. And I hooked like a giant striper, which is probably like 15 to 18 pounds, which is big for some of our waterways.
Yeah.
And it took me straight into a tree, man. And I'm in current, so I'm in my kayak and I'm getting pushed down the river. The fish is dogging me and going into a tree. So the fish and the bait is stuck to a tree and I'm floating backwards, man, at the same time. That was probably the most memorable and one of the most expensive baits to lose
Mm.
in the river tour.
Man, when you what's a shoal? Like what when you say shoal, what are you describing with that word? Like a rock bar or kind of like what is it really?
It's like a small rapid.
Oh,
It's a
okay, okay,
rapid.
okay. That makes sense. I always hear
All
I always hear it get talked about and stuff, but I've never like asked for a description of it because our rivers aren't necessarily like that. Like we don't, it doesn't, it sets up like that, but we just have different words for it. And so I always thought a shoal was like a rock bar or like a rock, like just a gravel bar is what I always thought a shoal was. For whatever reason, it just made sense to me for that word to mean that.
Nah, you're okay. This is where the water changes direction. It gets more shallow and then it gets turbulent. And a lot of times we have nice pools, either
Okay.
right after it or we have an eddy on the outside.
Okay. Okay. So yeah, that makes a lot of sense. So when you were getting into it, that like was that something that you had to do like when you were going by or like after you went a couple times, was that something that you're confident doing by yourself, or is that something that you do with like a group of guys just because it does, river systems change so much. Like you could hit a point where it's usually 5 feet deep and you go and jump off your kayak and it's no big deal. And you jump off now and it's 7.5 feet because you guys got some rain. Like is that something that you normally do a lot by yourself, or do you usually get like two or three guys to go float the river with you?
Man, I try to get two or three guys, man, because it can get sketchy sometimes, man.
Yeah.
Like you're going through a show. I mean, at some points in times, rapids are categorized from like a class one rapid to like a class five or six.
Yeah.
And sometimes we're going down with kayaks down a class two rapid, and like these waves are going almost over the top of your kayak.
Yeah.
So I mean, you got rods, you got reels, you got everything. So you can lose it. You can fall off, you can
Yeah.
flip, man. And we try to go with buddies just to kind of be safe.
Hmm.
And like if your stuff does get, outside the kayak, somebody else can maybe grab it.
Hmm.
Just as a safety thing. You can go by yourself, man, but you definitely want to scout it out a little bit.
Yeah.
And you usually go from the takeout and you go up, and then you can float back down if you go by yourself.
Yeah, so that's what I was gonna say is how here when you river fish, like especially kayak or whatever else it may be, you usually have to go with two people or somebody has to drop you off. Are you guys able to walk or paddle upstream, or kind of do you just start up at a point and float down to Buddy's truck or whatever else, like a boat ramp or wherever you end at?
Yeah, I would say for us, probably 85 to 90% of our floats are you park your car at one bridge or one put in, then you park another vehicle at the other one and you float down through and go
Yeah.
back and get it. We have some really cool spots though where you park at the takeout and you just paddle upstream, you drag your kayak or your boat upstream, then you float back down too as well. I mean, you can do that, especially if you're fishing by yourself
Yeah.
as well too.
That's cool. That's cool. Is there like a lot of like public forums where guys discuss like what rivers you can fish or like put in pull like that's the thing around here is unless you have Onyx, like guys don't know where state land is, public land, private property, so they're never sure on where they can access point, where they can get out of the river and walk on shore or whatever else it may be. Like does Georgia do a decent job of keeping up with that information, or like do the local guys have like a page or a group where stuff like that's discussed, or is it more so just you go out and fish these stretches after so long and you kind of pick up on what you can and can't do out there?
And Georgia's really sticky, bro.
Mm,
It gets really sticky with your private versus public land, man. We have like a Facebook page and apps called Georgia Rivers. It kind of shows like rivers you can float, navigability. I mean, how to navigate them, what's trespassing and what's not trespassing.
yeah.
But the laws get kind of crazy, man. Um, for instance, if a landowner owns both sides of the river,
Hmm.
then he actually owns the bottom of the river as well. So you can't step on the
Yeah.
riverbank, legally private property. Island, if they own both sides of the river, is their property as well too. So if you step out the river and you step on their land, you're trespassing.
Mm,
So Georgia's really sticky, man. I use On Water, like you said, Onyx,
hmm.
all these apps to try to help you navigate. Like, all right, can I put in here without trespassing?
Hmm.
So in a lot of our spots, man, we like to do some of the off the grid stuff, like try to find fish that people can't access and can't get
Yeah.
to. So we'll park on the side of a road, hop underneath the bridge, and float down to another bridge.
Mm, yeah. Yeah. Is that excuse me, so like up here, the river I live close to, it's a big salmon and steelhead river, and we don't there's no HOA or anything, but the people along this river got so mad that these bridges were access points that they made it illegal on this river system to access the river from these bridges have become, I don't even know, they're not private, but you can't launch or you can't walk out of here. You have to walk out from the boat ramp. There's only like two on the whole river. So Is that like, can you guys access it from the road, like roadside, like you just said, or is there like certain spots where you can and can't?
Usually from roadside.
Okay.
Yeah,
Hmm.
roadside.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's I don't know. It's crazy how all that stuff is so different from state to state. I could come down to Georgia and I'd be amazed that maybe some of the things I could do down there along the river system, and then you could come up here and be just as surprised to what you can and can't do or up here. Like as long as if a river in Michigan, I this probably isn't exactly right, but if it was used to float timber or logs back in the day, it is a navigable waterway, and if there's like log jams and stuff, you're legally allowed to portage around them without getting in trouble. I'm pretty sure that's what the law is, or it was at one point in time. So like that might be something that you guys just don't have down there. Like you just have to drag your kayak over because it's somebody's private property. Like just little stuff like that that gets changed. Like there's no like standard law behind it. It just is to the state's discretion. And like if you don't look at it one year and the rules change, you could get popped for $1,000 trespassing fee. Like that stuff is so crazy.
Well, it gets sticky, man. So we had a situation like that where we got the police called on us
Uh-huh.
because it was a class 4 rapid. People have died on this rapid, and we went outside and went on the river bank to avoid the rapids,
Yeah.
and the police got called on us for that same situation, man. Yeah.
Like I guess are the cop like were the cops like understanding of, oh, okay, these guys didn't want to try to bum rush this rapid, like, okay, let's cut them some slack, like we'll tell them, maybe don't make this float again when the water's this high, or were they kind of d-bags about it?
The landowners was kind of the ones enforcing it. It was like, well, since you guys are nice, we won't give you a ticket this time. Next time you come back, it's like $1,000 ticket for trespassing.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
insane. I don't know. I guess to each their own. I guess I can never say because I don't own land and I don't know what people have done there or anything. But that's crazy. Like if somebody's like trying to get out of harm's way and not hurt themselves, like yeah, you guys can walk 10 yards on my bank and you guys can dump back in. Like that's not a huge deal. But like I said, to some people, I guess it might be depending on prior things they've experienced. So I will say, are all your buddies, like the guys that you fish with, are all those guys into swim bait fishing, or is it just a you thing right now?
Two of them have really gotten into swim bait fishing, I
Okay,
would say. Initially it was me, and now I think I kind of rubbed off on them a good bit. So
right,
they're getting it now,
right.
man.
When you go river, like say we're going fishing tomorrow, like are you bringing a couple rods? Are they all swim bait rods? Like maybe a chatterbait or like a topwater rod? Like what's the setup if we were gonna go fish tomorrow? Like the rigs we're bringing.
Yeah, so typically I take 3 or 4 rods. One rod is gonna be like for a bottom bait, just in case they miss my top water bait, which would be like a whopper plopper or either a chopo to 130. So even if I use conventional, far as river fishing, it's still on the big side of
Yeah,
things. So I like the Chapo 120, the bigger one. And then I usually take 2 swim bait rods.
mm,
So 2 swim bait rods, a bottom bait rod, and then also like a top water
okay.
setup.
Uh, is it a lot of largemouth in the rivers, like smallmouth, or like striper, like you were saying, or like what's predominantly in the water? Like you're going out and you're not surprised if you catch 20 largemouth, or like what's like the king dog of the rivers?
Now, man, our rivers are pretty crazy down here. Spotted bass literally have started to take over all of our rivers.
Hmm.
Spotted bass they're some gangsters, man. They kind of outcompete
Yeah,
everything.
yeah.
They push out other fish. They hybridize with a lot of the native fish species. So like the Alabama spot, man, we can catch between a 19-inch all the way up to like a 21-inch spotted bass
Yeah.
in a small river is no bigger than probably 40 to 50 feet across.
Mm,
You're talking like a 3 or 4 pound fish.
mm.
Some people have caught 5 to 6 pound spots in small rivers.
Yeah, that's crazy. And those fish. That's like if you took a river smallmouth and made it even more aggressive. I assume I know spots are crazy aggressive. They like when you get a school of spots fired up on like Shasta or maybe some of those lakes in Alabama and Georgia, you just turn on a feeding frenzy and they'll slap an 8-inch glide bait like nobody's business. Does that translate to them being in the rivers too?
And I was just about to tell you the exact same thing, man. So last week I caught a 19-inch spotted bass on the 9-inch BTC. glad bait.
It's
And
crazy.
like 2 weeks prior, I caught a like a 19-inch spot on a 9-inch trick shad. Like they're super aggressive, man. You throw by any wood, they will just crush it, man. They're monsters, man.
Yeah, man, that sounds like a blast. You get an aggressive fish like that paired up with the your guys' river system sound bigger than the ones that I'm used to fishing for smallmouth. So you get some like you get them behind a slack water and you get them like into the current, they dog. And is that this is a little side thing here. Does it help having swim baits with swiveling hook hangers fishing for these bigger fish in these like in these heavier current rivers down there?
Yeah, absolutely, man. You putting a lot of torque on the fish. The fish is pulling hard. So yeah, it definitely. Yep.
Right. And some guys might, some people might not be sold on that idea if they're fishing lakes because, I hook my fish and I just winch it in. Whereas down there, you get one hook in this fish in like the corner of the skin of its mouth, and you really got to play that fish. And you see your bait hanging and the fish spinning like that. The swivel hook hanger's doing its job, and it might not be appreciated by some guys, but I know. I got to expect almost all the river guys appreciate a swiveling hook hanger on, especially on a big bait like a 9-inch trick shad or BGC or whatever else it may be.
Absolutely, man. It definitely helps.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. What's the biggest spot you or yeah, what's the biggest spot you've caught? Was it the 19 that you were talking about?
19 and a half inch. I caught one that was like 312, man, as well.
That's crazy. And out of the river, out of the river is insane. That thing had to dog you.
Oh man, turn my kayak around and everything.
That's so cool. Have you ever gotten them? So that's the cool thing about the spots is that they get so fired up that they do crazy things. Have you ever gotten them to like eat boat side, like where you're like just a couple like a foot off the rod tip and you're like maybe not necessarily eight trapping them, but essentially doing that same thing where you're slapping it on the water, just anything crazy like that? Have you gotten to getting these? Have you gotten these fish so fired up you've experienced something like that?
Yeah, I've watched them fight over the bait and like hit right at both sides. That's the craziest thing. I have been trying my hardest with the eight trap.
Yeah,
I still haven't got a fish to eat on the eight trap, man. I don't know if it's my skill level or what I'm doing, but
yeah.
I haven't got a the eight trap.
Man, I got one to eat a couple months ago on Lake St. Clair, a big like a smaller soft bait, paddle tail style soft bait. And it's if you think about it, it's easy, but if it catches you off guard and it's like kind of how you said or like how in my experiences, I've never gotten much reaction out of it and I've never like had a fish so tuned on it that like my brain snaps and like I'm like, "Oh, I'm going to eight trap it." And I start doing it. Like I'm always reeling the bait in and I'm getting ready to pull it up like, "Oh, there's a fish there." And I dunk it back in and I start trapping it and that's the only time I had the fish eat twice. That's the only experience I've ever had with it. But I think once you experience it a couple times and like you learn the behavior of if a fish is going to do it, it just becomes like not even a second thought. Like you don't even reel your bait up all the way. You just go straight from the retrieve to the A trap. I think that's what the make and break point of it is, and I just haven't figured that out. And by the sounds of it, maybe you haven't either with what you were saying.
Nah, craziest thing I had happen was I had my swim bait dangling out the front of my kayak,
Oh yeah,
and a fish just demolished it, like hanging out the front of the kayak.
yeah.
So that's probably the craziest thing.
That's super cool though too. Are these fish pretty aggressive in the sense of they might swipe at a bait, miss it behind like a log or a rock, and you or your buddy that's floating behind you cast right back in there, and you assume that same fish just actually gets the hooks that time. Does that happen quite a bit too?
Yeah, yeah, especially in these remote rivers,
Mhm.
like where they get like no pressure, man. I've had a really big spot where I cast it out and it just demolished it, but didn't get the hooks. And I was like, oh shoot, couple rear hand timers, come back and just crush it and catch
Yeah,
it on the same cast, man.
man,
Yeah.
that's super cool. Are you able to like watch these fish? Maybe not necessarily watch them like follow your bait, but like can you see your bait if you're fishing a bone bait and just see these like just jaw shadows come up and swiping at the bait and trying to eat the bait while you're ripping it in?
Absolutely. See them try to fight over it
That's
for
so cool.
sure. Because some of
Have you ever gotten to hook two at once?
not on the river, not on the river. I had, I have multiple ones fighting for it, but nah, not on the river.
Right. Oh, dude, that would be so slick. Hook two spots, two like sub 18-inch spots in the river. That would be That would be a crazy video. That'd be like the type of day we were just talking about, like, okay, yeah, I'm gonna call it a day because I'm not gonna be able to top that one the rest of this float.
Yeah.
Man, that's sweet. What do you bring? Like, say, what's like your guys' average float? Like, maybe like 4 or 5 hours, or when you guys are like, you guys are all parking up here, and your buddy parks his car down here, and you do the float. Like, what's your average float time?
Man, so we've been doing it for a long time now. It didn't start out this way. Back in the day, we used to float like, 4 or 5 miles.
Mhm.
But I work. I still work
Yeah.
and fish and do this all. So usually I only get like one day a week to go, man.
Mhm.
Maybe 2 times a week, man. So now the average float, man, it's 10 to 12 hours, man. And typically it's probably between 7 and 12 miles.
Dang. Okay.
So
Okay. So that's like very respectable. And guys listening to this are like, oh, I walk 5 miles a day. That's different though. You guys aren't sitting down casting the whole time. Like you think you've been fishing for a while and you look at your GPS or Onyx or whatever and you're like, oh man, we're only 6 bends from the start of where we are. Like, and I've made so many casts already. That's the crazy thing about river fishing. You think you're picking apart all this water and lo and behold, you're 3 bends away from where you started.
man, so many old shit moments
Yeah.
to be
Yep.
like, oh, man, we only got 2 hours of daylight and we're like 6 miles away.
Yep. Oh man, that's funny. I'm glad I'm not the only one who's ever done that before because that's like the big thing about river fishing is with river fishing, everything looks so good and in my experiences the fish never relate to just like one thing like oh they're on these rock piles so let's cast at every rock pile. Every river fish is different so you always just kind of have to cast at everything that looks good and like I said these guys might not understand that they're listening but when you're having like big long stretches between bends that are maybe not crazy long, like 60, 70, 80 yards, and you're making, dude, anywhere from 60 to 100 casts on each stretch, and there's 18 bends before the end. Like that stuff adds up quick, especially if you catch a decent one and you stop and get some pictures or you stop and make lunch or whatever else it may be. Like time is not your friend when you're floating a river.
No, not at all, man. And if you get on a good bite, man, or you hop out your kayak and you fish a bin
Hmm.
and you're walking up and down the bin, like time just starts ticking
Yep.
instantly, man. And we became better because we used to be horrible, bro.
Yeah.
But a lot of times on straightaways, we did like if it's a tree, we'll fish it. If not, we paddle it. If it's a rock, we'll fish it. We used to try to hit every single thing.
Yeah.
And you will look up, man, and you ain't going nowhere, like you said.
Yeah, and it probably helps now that I'm sure you guys have done a lot of your floats, maybe once or twice, so you kind of know, like it really helps when the water levels are low or high because you can see, okay, this is a spot that I've been fishing and the water's 2 feet low and it's a foot and a half underwater, like that's only 6 inches of water. There's probably not any fish there when the water's normal pool. I'm just gonna skip this stretch of bank or whatever else it may be. Like that stuff helps a lot too.
100%. And when it's low, man, you can see the different changes in water depth. Like you may have clear water and over here is blue.
Yeah.
So we're just focusing on that blue deep water. So
Yeah.
that's huge, man.
Hmm. Right, right. The reason I asked you about the distance and like how like what your guys' average distance is. So when you guys first started and you were doing like those 5, 6 mile stretches, how has what you brought on the river, like your river loadout, changed from when you guys do these longer ones that you're at now? Like whether maybe you never used to bring like a first aid kit and then somebody put a hook past the barb on their hand and that's something you guys kind of got into carrying, or whether it's like snacks or a jet boil or like whatever else it may be. How has your like little loadout changed over the last couple of years of you doing this?
First thing we started noticing was the amount of gear, man.
Mm.
Like having like 6 rods,
Yep.
man, and stuff. That's not your friend these long trips, man. Like overhangs,
Hmm.
you're gonna have rods that stuck up in trees, all kind of stuff, man. Next is probably like bringing a lunch.
Yep.
Like if you're floating that long,
Hmm.
you almost have to have a lunch because the amount of energy you're gonna use paddling all day. There's tons of drinks, because you're gonna get hot, especially when it's in the summertime. And that's the biggest thing, man. And like just trying to monitor your mapping system so you're not taking out and pulling your kayak out at nighttime beneath the bridge.
Hmm.
Uh, that can be a nightmare, man.
Yeah,
Yeah, we pretty much anything you can imagine, man. We kind of ran into it over the years, man.
right.
Like leaving keys into the vehicle at the top, so having to try to find a ride to get back to the top
Mm,
because the keys are locked up.
mm.
Having an Uber, so yeah, all kind of crazy on the river.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. What's like somebody who's into river fishing or into kayak fishing even or paddleboard, whatever else it may be, what's one thing that you've gotten over the years that has made your life or experience just a little bit better? Whether it's like I see your Yak Attack sticker behind you, so maybe though like that new Yak Attack crate they make, or maybe a pair of pliers that is just, super useful. Maybe it has more than one use, or like what's just one little tool or gadget that you just are like, if I could recommend it to anybody, this is what I would say.
I probably have two, man. The black pack, just in case, like if it rains. I mean, it's not totally waterproof, but you can put your stuff inside of it, your camera gear, your baits, change your clothes if you flip out, and it's kind of cool when you can change.
Yeah.
Having that box kind of closed off to keep all your gear safe is a huge help, man. The next one I would say is probably like fish grippers. When you actually catch a fish, you can like attach the fish to it,
Mhm.
get your camera set up, get everything situated, man, and then you can actually go back to handling the fish. That way, man, you don't have like this 5 pound fish just laying on top of your kayak dying
Mhm.
until you get everything set up and right.
Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of guys, I don't know if bash, but they make fun of the kayak guys because of those the hog leashes or whatever they're called, the generic lip grippers with the rope that you could just, carabine around to your kayak. And yeah, guys make fun of that, but it's because they have a live well, or it's because they fish on the bank, so they just hold the fish in the water. Whereas you're in a kayak, okay, so let's just say you caught this fish on a glide bait that has two hooks on it. Okay, it's in your lap right now. You have to get that fish unhooked. What are you gonna do? Are you gonna hold that fish while you rehook your bait onto your rod, turn behind you, set your rod in the holder, turn your GoPro on or clip it, hold it in the water while you call your buddy over here and hand him your phone to take a picture while you try to paddle with one hand? Like, there's a reason that these guys have made something like this, and you just listed it, or you just put it as out there as maybe one thing you would suggest guys who want to get into it to get, because it's handy. It's a very useful thing to have in this situation, this scenario.
Yeah, and you're still drifting down the river at the
Yeah.
same time all that's going on. It doesn't stop, man. You
Mhm.
drip into a tree while you're
Yeah.
trying to get the fish situated, man.
Yep.
I went down a rapid with a fish between my legs because a lot of times fish will stack up right before the rapid.
Mhm.
So you're fighting the fish and you're going down the rapid at the
Yeah.
same time. Yeah.
That's the other thing is like having a pair of lip holders. I just found, I used to have a pair from forever ago, and I just found them and I've been taking them with me, especially when I go bowfin fishing, because dude, yeah, you could put your hands in the gill plates, but those things have some sharp teeth. I don't like putting my hands in there because those bowfin shake and thrash and stuff. So, dude, easiest thing ever. Put my lip grippers, like, get their mouth open somehow, put the lip grippers on them, take the hook out, just put it back in my net and hold it over the side while I get everything ready. And when it's time to go, boom, hold it there, hold it with the lip grippers, and then just set it in the water and unlip it. Like, yeah, guys can make fun of it. Oh, just hold the fish, but there's no, I'm just gonna take the easy route. I don't care if I look like a goon in the pictures. I don't want a hook in my hand or anything else like that.
Yeah, and they thrash around too, man. Absolutely. It helps.
Yeah, 100%. I think it's beneficial like that. You touched on taking three rods, your conventional rod or a conventional rod, top water, bottom, whatever it may be, and then a swim bait rod or two. What are like two or three, or what are like three or four of your go-to rods, whether for swim bait fishing or just like river fishing in general?
Typically far as my go-to rides, I use Dobbins,
Mm,
but my bottom ride is usually a 7 foot, like medium heavy,
mm.
just so I can get like leverage on the fish, try to control
Yep.
them. And then as far as my top water bait ride, I like to have something that has just a little bit more give, a little bit more bend.
Mhm.
I mean, because a lot of times, I mean, I'm using like the Whopper Plopper or the Chapo, the 120 to 130, man. And I don't want the fish to throw the hook right away
Yeah.
as well. Um, and then as far as the swim bait rods, I use like the diving bull shad line.
Mhm. Yeah, and they make a little bit shorter rod, like they make that 795 if I remember correctly, right? So it's only an inch, but a lot in the grand scheme of things, that inch could be the difference of you having to bring your rod down going under a laydown or a bridge, whereas an 8 foot rod might break the rod tip off. Like it makes sense. Or would you be opposed to like if somebody came out with a 7 foot swim bait rod to trying that out to be a little bit more friendly on the kayak for you?
You can because the problem with swim bait rods is in a kayak is sometimes the butt will hit the seat,
Yeah.
and that's a really big problem. I
Yep.
used to love having a long, long butt when I was a short fisherman, but
Hmm.
as a kayaker, the long butt will hit the seats, and you can't really control the ride quite good. So
Hmm.
that's the challenging part with having a long butt. And a lot of times with river fishing, you're not making like super long casts all the
Yeah.
time. Like sometimes you parallel fishing and you're making an underhand pitch
Hmm.
to some cover or
Hmm.
under, an overhang. So
Yeah.
you don't have to have like a super long ride, but it does help to have some length.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. I didn't even think about that. Because in the on the paddleboard you don't have anything behind you except for your milk crate, so it's like a lot less a lot or there's a lot more real estate behind you on the paddleboard. Whereas like that, yeah, you have your yak attack box behind you a little ways. You have the seat, whether it's like a mesh or you're sitting down in like a sit down kayak, and maybe even your rod holders or whatever else it may be. Like all that stuff, I didn't even think comes into play on. Especially the rod butt, like you said, a longer rod butt or a shorter rod butt really makes a difference when you're in a situation like that and there's stuff behind you.
It does. Yeah, it's surprising. One of those things like you don't really experience it until you actually get into the kayak seat and you're
Yeah.
like, oh, the butt is.
That that's funny. What kayak are you fishing out of?
I got two. I have the Crescent Shoaly, which is kind of made for rivers. Does really well in current, being able to maneuver. Then I
Yeah.
have the Bonafide RBR, which is a little bit more stable,
Hmm.
easier to stand up on and just fish from. Then I got a boat board as well too, man.
There you go.
But you said paddleboard. Paddleboard is a blast, bro.
Yeah.
I recently caught like a 13-pound striper off my boat board.
That's sick. That had to have been a riot.
Oh, it turned me all kind of around, man.
That's so cool. The other thing that we hadn't really touched on is like you do a lot of filming and stuff too, so you have to I mean, you have to be careful with that stuff. I mean, I'm sure guys know that electronics and water don't mix. So having a stable kayak that you can stand up in, or the yak attack box where you can throw batteries in, or just a whole camera if it starts to sprinkle or whatever else it may be, like that stuff is all things that some guys who fish on boats may just overlook that because they can just throw it in a pack or whatever else it may be. So, like you guys, you have to plan on, okay, I'm going to bring this stuff, but if this happens, what am I going to do with it in the meantime? So that's just something else that you have to plan around.
It's a lot of small things like if you don't have a hatch or if you have a paddleboard, like a dry bag is
Mhm.
like super important. Like you
Yeah.
say with the rain, to throw your camera, keys. Man,
Hmm.
you get your keys wet, it'd
Yeah.
be a bad day as well too. So dry bag is like huge for like the paddleboard and stuff.
Hmm. Right. 100%. Uh, the last question that I have in mind for you is, do you buy bottled water or do you have like a big old, like a big gallon Yeti that you bring on the water with you?
I try to use my jug. The
Okay. That's what I
jug comes
figured.
in handy.
Yeah.
The bottled waters, like they kind of roam around everywhere,
Hmm.
man, and half of the time I can't even find them throughout the day.
Yeah.
But definitely a jug comes in more handy.
Yeah. Plus, especially if it's like whether it's this is a Walmart brand one, so it's not even like it's a Yeti or anything. But if you have that double wall insulation, that water will stay a lot colder than a couple bottles of water in the back of the board or on the back of the kayak will stay throughout the day.
Absolutely, man.
Uh, actually, what net do you use? Because that's something that I was going to ask you earlier and I completely forgot about.
Mhm. I've had two, man. I had one called Ego Net, and then I have one that's made by a brand called Cuda as
Okay.
well. So I
Okay.
have nets can be challenging, man. I struggle with a net because my rods stick up front, and I get tangled up sometimes with the
Yeah.
swim baits. It turns into a nightmare for me sometimes. And my boys give me hell about it all the time. Like, Eric, there you go, struggling with the net again. Because I had a muskie a couple trips back, man. And it was a massive muskie for me because it was my first one, man. And I get my freaking net tangled up and I'm screaming back, help, help, help. So my buddies have to come all the way down the river, help me net this muskie. And
Yeah.
we finally caught it, bro. But it was a nightmare.
Man, that's crazy. Yeah, the net is a big thing that guys will crap on dudes who use nets, but like we mentioned earlier, when that fish is in your lap, like you want it to be, if you can get it unhooked in the net, that makes your life so much easier than having to bring it in your board or on your boat or on your kayak and mess with it in your lap. You got hooks in your lap that can hook you anywhere while this fish is thrashing around. Like, no, net is the go-to net, and then the hog collar or the lip rip or whatever the heck it is. Like those are the two like necessities to have when you're kayak or board fishing, I think.
Especially with a paddleboard. I'm always worried about getting in trouble in the
Yeah.
paddleboard when the fish is thrashing around.
hmm Yeah,
Yeah.
that's always
Let
a
me ask you a question, man. Do you notice if you get more bites in the beginning of a bend or at the end, or kind of like in the middle?
so if we're floating downstream, dude, I don't know, I like the middle and the end. The beginning is always okay, but I like if I can, like say we're going down the bend, if we can anchor and if we can walk up, I'll fish the last quarter to a third of the bend. The front is okay, but usually I'll cast in the middle and I'll let my glide float through while I work it back. So that's just kind of my preference. I feel like if you're up in the front and you cast, you're that bait is fighting the current the whole way. And if you can cast forward and kind of let the current bring the bait down to you, that's always the way I've preferred it. What's your answer to that?
So, man, typically for me, the best bite is usually at the end.
Okay,
The
yeah.
end of the bend is typically, and if I have like a big rock pile in the middle, usually that's pretty legit too. The front is either hit or miss, but the end is usually dynamite.
Yeah. I feel like a fish in the back of the hole is more sold on coming out of the hole. Like it'll shoot out and shoot back in. Whereas the beginning, that fish can follow it the whole way of the hole, and you may never know that that fish is there. As soon as the end, like when that bend starts to come up, and you see that sand or rock pile start to come out, and you can kind of start to see the bottom, and you see your bait, and you see shadows fall on it. Like I think that's kind of when it clicks to me. Like, okay, there's fish in there. I got to sink this bait down a little bit more, work it a little bit faster, whatever else it may be. But relative to at the beginning of the hole, if it's an 8 foot hole and you can't see past 2 feet, once your bait gets down there, you don't know what the heck's going down there, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I rely a lot on being able to see my bait and see if there's followers or any sort of interest in it. So that's kind of why I like the middle to the back of it a lot.
Yep, yep. Same here, man. I agree. And at that point, it's really just finding the right glad bait for
hmm
current.
Yeah.
Cause glad baits and current are hit and miss depending on which baits you have.
hmm I will say, I don't know, people are going to think I'm getting paid to talk about this bait. This is the second bait or this is the second episode in a row I've talked about this bait, but the Swim Bait Republic Glideway 176. It's an ABS bait, and here
Okay.
it's got two. I don't know if you can see it. It's got a dimple right here and a dimple right here. So when this bait comes out of the package, it comes with BKK 6 SS hook or whatever it is. But then it comes with these little two lead strips. And so this bait's a floater. One lead strip, it's a slow sink. Two lead strips, it's a fast sink. This bait swims extremely well in the river currents. I'll send you some videos once we're done off of here. I'll shoot them over to you on text. But this thing in the wintertime messes up some pike. It messes up bass, smallmouth. Like this is this is like what the S waiver tried to be, I think, in my opinion. It's a super fun bait. I love this bait. This is like my go-to river bait because it's ABS, so I'm not necessarily heartbroken if I lose it, but it's also just like a fish catching thing. This is my go-to color, like a little green up on top and fades down into the clear. Caught a lot of pike on this thing this winter, and it's a readily available bait that swims good in the current, in my opinion.
Yeah, I have to check it out, man. I haven't seen that one before.
Yeah, it's a super cool bait. And then they also just came out. So this is the 176 size. They also came out with a 126. So it's only like this big. I haven't gotten my hands on that one yet, but it's freaking tiny. Yeah, I'll send you some videos of this guy from this winter. It's a fun bait, and it comes in a gajillion colors too. Like they make a fire tiger color. They make just all sorts of cool stuff. Like if your fish are super reactive to like the reflective colors, they make a straight gold, like a reflective gold. Like it's just a cool bait. The guy Roberto's a super cool dude. He makes the bait over there in Spain. So I try to plug it as much as I can, and he's starting to get more popular here in the U.S. And I didn't know if you knew about it, so I just wanted to put that on your radar because that's a bait that I fish a lot when I go out in the rivers.
No, no, I appreciate it, man.
Yeah, and that's like something that maybe your buddies who are just now getting into it, they can buy one for I don't know how much they are, like $50. So they can, like the Gantrel, like they can get their toes wet, and if they lose it, it's an ABS bait. It's not terrible. They can always buy another one. But if they get hooked on it, they're like, oh my gosh, like okay, I don't have any problem spending $50. Maybe I'll buy a $100 trick shad now, or maybe, just whatever else it may be. It's a good intro bait, but I think it's also a really, really good intro river swim bait, in my opinion.
Okay, got you. Okay, no, I appreciate it, man.
Heck yeah, dude. Well, Eric, was there anything that you were ready to talk about that we didn't touch on at all?
I think we're good. Just to clarify that one answer about the rods, though, man. I mentioned so my three rods. So the
Yep.
first one is a medium heavy. The second one is a medium heavy moderate for like chatterbaits
Mhm.
and your choppos, and then the other two are the swim baits. Just to clarify to make sure I said it correctly. But
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's about it for the most part,
Heck yeah,
man.
dude. I do have to ask you real quick since you just brought that back up. Are you fishing? So in the river, I'm fishing straight fluoro. What's your go-to line preference in the river?
People are gonna laugh at me about
The
this one,
straight
man.
braid?
I hate it. Well, I do use straight braid a good
Okay.
bit, man. I do. But I also sometimes use straight fluorocarbon and the red label that everybody hates, but I
Mm,
still use it sometimes, man. But when I'm chasing striper, I use 85 pound straight braid
right.
just because, man. I have to, man. It's a small river, tons of current. It goes straight to the wood.
Yep.
And when you're in a kayak or a paddleboard, you really have to get control like in the first like couple of seconds. If
Yep.
not, you lost the battle with the fish and you lost your swim at the same
Yep.
time, man. So this is a little bit different. So you have to have something really strong. But yeah, I do use straight braid sometimes.
Right. I thought that's where you're going with that answer when you said everybody's gonna hate me for that. Are you fishing like 15, 17 pound red label, or like what's the pound you're going with?
For my bottom baits, like 15.
Yeah.
Yeah, 15 for the bottom bait, like the Texas rig.
Hmm.
If I use a straight braid, like 30 pound.
Right. Heck yeah, dude. What reels are you using? Shimano, Daiwa, Cast King, Abu? What's the go-to?
Shimano and Dawa.
Are
Yep.
you are you a
For
higher gear
swim,
ratio guy?
I am. I'm a
Yeah.
high gear ratio guy. Especially when I'm throwing my bigger swim baits, I like to be able to take up the slide, so I can have a better action with the glad baits, man, because I'm usually topping them.
Yep.
Or either I'll have them get them in quickly, like I find a target, cast out to that target, get like, probably 5 or 6 real hand turns, and I'm on to my next target on the
Yep.
river.
Yep.
But for the swim baits, I use the Scorpion MD.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, that's
That's
what I
one
was
of
gonna
my
say
favorites.
is guys will always ask me why I like the HG Corrado, and that's because like you said, 5, 6 reel turns, burn that thing in, recast it. Because like when we talked about taking 60, 70 casts on a bank, it's not a full length cast or not a full length retrieve, guys. It's bang, 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 bang. Okay, I'm back on the shallow. I'm back in the middle of the river. Like I know there's not any fish here. I'm burning that thing back, recasting again. So it's really more so you're fishing a quarter or a half of your cast in you're fire or you're reeling it back in to fire out the next one. So essentially you're only fishing 40 casts, but you're making 60 or 80 casts at the time. So I don't think we touched on that or if I've ever touched on that before, but that's how I go about it. I'm assuming that's kind of what you guys do too then.
Yeah, it's just target practice.
Hmm.
It's just straight up target practice. Throw it. You have to honestly with river fishing, everything is probably if you got a stump, you got to be like within like 5 inches to it,
Yep.
man.
Yep.
And you're glad you made all around it. You're making 6 retrievals, and then you're on to the next lay down. You're on to the next stone,
Hmm.
and you're like you said, it's just 5 or 6 real hand turns, and then you're on to the next spot, man.
100%, man. Well, Eric, I appreciate you coming on, dude. Where can the people follow you, whether it's on Instagram, YouTube, whatever else you may have, TikTok? Like, how can the people find you, I should say?
Yeah, tonight, man, it's Atypical Outdoors on YouTube and Instagram. Those are the main ones I actually use. I have a TikTok, but not much is on there.
Heck yeah, dude. I will link all Eric's stuff in the show notes like I always do. Make sure you guys go follow him. I'm sure he would appreciate that. If you guys don't follow the podcast, Scales and Tails Media on Instagram, Scales and Tails Media pretty much everywhere. Scales and Tails Media on Patreon. On Patreon, we're doing something new, so I didn't get to do it this episode or the last episode, but we're gonna have questions that you guys submit on Patreon that I ask the guests throughout the episode for that, and then you guys also get early access and ad-free access to the episodes before they go live. So check that out if you want to support the podcast directly. As always, Eric, man, I appreciate you coming on. I appreciate you taking some time out of your what do we got Wednesday night here, and dude, just getting to pick your brain about the river fishing and going, tip for tap on how my fishing up here is a little bit different than yours, or how they're similar or how they're just completely different was super fun. And to hear how you pick apart a river, it was funny how I thought it was going to be maybe a lot different than how I do it, but essentially, it's the same thing like you said, target practice, couple reel turns, and you're on to the next one.
Oh yeah. Come on down, man. One day we'll go fishing for spots and show bass.
Heck yeah, man. I'm down for that. I'm down for that, man. But as always, like I said, Eric's stuff will be in the show notes. So you guys can go check him out and go follow his stuff if you haven't already. As always, guys, thank you for listening. I hope you enjoyed this episode 202, and we'll see you guys on episode 2 or 203. Oh my gosh. See you guys.